to Chad Palumbo.
Princeton's had a couple of different looks on that top midfield line. Really, it's just a matter of getting your top 6 offensive playmakers out there. Here's Palumbo, turns offhand, had the stick lifted by the sophomore Mason Bardwell. It'll stay with Princeton.
Great job by Bardwell. You see the strength on strength. Palumbo's got a couple of highlight goals this year that are just strength and will.
Bardwell, a big guy, 6'1", 215, returning starter as a sophomore. 35 on the Princeton shot clock. Here's Coulter Mackesy. Short stick matchup, natural left hand, goes low on the wet turf, and it's 1-0 Tigers. If there's one thing defensively you probably need to avoid, it's Coulter Mackesy, short stick, left side.
Correct. This is textbook Coulter Mackesy. We've seen it literally hundreds of times at this point. You cannot let him roll back to that strong left hand and get his hands free, especially against a short stick, as you said. Vermont gets some sticks near him, you've got to
Cameron and work it back up top to reset. Second midfield line out there, Cameron, Dunphy, and Kramer for the orange and black, mostly orange today.
How does Vermont handle this? Now Mackesy's going to go on an island against a short pole. They've got to get a long stick there.
Up top, Kramer, time and space, and they got a stick on it again. That was Colin Bullock. That wasn't Bullock, that was Huguenard getting the start today.
Good job of recovering by the Vermont Catamount defense.
Not a lot of clean shot opportunities for the Tigers, and right on cue, Mackesy makes it back-to-back goals, and it's 2-0. Time and space for the Tewaaraton candidate.
And that's the last thing you want to give 91. 2 goals for the Tigers, 2 goals for Mackesy as he continues to just go up the record books here at Princeton. One of the best in history, continues to pile on the goals off stick.
Coulter blank save, stick side high. Ryan Croddick, who leads the nation in saves, nearly 15 per contest.
And Vermont communicating when they see 91 with the ball. And too often, we've said it a couple times, which is 2 times too many, that Mackesy is finding short stick matchups. Essentially, Vermont needs to dare others to beat them. Cannot let Mackesy run free up top.
Top midfield back out there. Tucker Wade has the short stick matchup, gets the early slide as the Tigers cycle it through Burns. Kabiri back up through Bonanno, the freshman. Topside, Mackesy did not look like he had a shooting lane, but he singes it early. Hat trick for number 91, and it's all Princeton early.
I think he wants to take this suspense out of the record book talk that we keep having. What a start for 91. The long sticks there just can't get the 6-foot pole on 91, and it's the flick of the wrist, and he rings the corner, showing the complete skills.
Against the number 1 RPI team in the country.
And lean on face-offs, but you've got to be efficient with your offense. So far, nothing to show for it, a 0 on the scoreboard. They've had some possessions.
Just 4 shots, just 2 on cage over the first 13 minutes and change by the Catamounts. All 3 Princeton goals by that man, number 91, Coulter Mackesy. Mackesy gives it up, gets it back, mishandled on the low feed. Now Kabiri up top. Through Bonanno, Chad Palumbo tries the swim dodge, gets the screen, goes top shelf and scores.
Chad Palumbo was really a distributor the first few games of the season. They took a trip down to Tobacco Road, played Duke in North Carolina. The second half of that UNC game, 4 goals, and he has not looked back. He is a big athletic midfielder, strong.
Princeton's so efficient, so patient on offense. Very rarely do they rush the shot, they'll wait for the opportunity. Across to Palumbo, up top Wade, now Mackesy with the shot clock at 25. Nate Kabiri, Wade tried to go high again. I think Vermont able to get a stick on that shot. Tatum Lewis, that's the 3rd or 4th time they've gotten the stick up in the shooting lane.
They're doing a nice job of stretching out up top.
15 on the shot clock, turning the corner. There's 4 in the first half for Mackesy. 4 very different goals by Coulter Mackesy.
think the only thing they all have in common is that they came with the left hand, which is the strong hand for Massie. But you see what he does. He uses one tiger and two catamounts as a screen, shoots over really all three of them, and that's just really hard for Daly to one track.
On the attack, 5-0 Tigers, everything going Princeton way. Final non-conference game for both of these teams. Princeton, the #1 RPI team in the country. Bonanno gave it up, got it back, had it not bumped out of the stick, may have just slipped out in the slick field conditions, but it'll stay with the Tigers.
And talk about the third midfield getting some burn against Lehigh on Tuesday and today early against Vermont. Again, Princeton has got to finish strong. Wow, Burns on the doorstep. Palumbo finds him, doesn't get easier than that.
Chad Palumbo, he's got 1 point today. He's got 2 shots, but what he's been able to do off ball has been really impressive. Colin Burns, coming off a 5-point night, has another goal, his 16th.
Yeah, when you think of Chad Palumbo, you think strong, the powerful shot. How about the finesse, the off, like the no-look pass to Burns? It's funny because they come as freshmen last year and they have the built-in chemistry, and who needs to find their way into the chemistry? Coulter Massie.
Vermont just 8 shots so far today. 4 of them have been on cage. Still looking for their first tally here midway through the second quarter. What a defensive effort by the Tigers. Down a starter, down maybe their top defensive midfielder in Jackson Green. Finn Fox, one of their top long stick midfielders, a talented freshman, not in the lineup today. There's a great opportunity, and finally Vermont on the scoreboard. Keen Paris with some time and space.
Great job by Paris of getting that shot on cage. And again, he uses a screen. I don't think Croddick saw that get through the defense. Kind of skipped low off the wet field turf here at Sherrod Field. Take a look at this. A bit of a worm burner, goes 5-hole against the talented goaltender. And as you said, Vermont finally gets on the board. Does that?
Out of the timeout. Rain picks back up, 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. Paris again on the run, the bouncer turned aside, not a clean save, and then Croddick able to drop the lid on it. Quick outlet, Friedman across midfield, and the Tigers off to the races. It's the 3rd or 4th time recently where Princeton's had numbers, they've had that odd man break opportunity, and they've decided to be really patient. Tucker Wade, Palumbo out of the box, left hand, and he snipes it on the run. Second of the day for the junior from Massachusetts, and Princeton gets the 6-goal lead back. Chad Palumbo out of the box. We haven't seen a lot of that this season, but took advantage.
No, just never stopped his forward momentum, catches it on the run. There were about 50 different ways to shoot that shot. I think that's about the 50th way. I expected him to do it kind of a 3-quarter underhand to the top.
This one drawn by Palumbo. It kicks all the way out into the clear midfield for Wade. Fresh 60-second shot clock. Princeton out shooting Vermont 35-15. Another stick in the passing lane. It stays with the Tigers. Through traffic, Massie trying to find Palumbo. Daly springs out of the goal and loses it out of bounds.
Here's Burns off the quick restart over to Wade, who we highlighted before the game but haven't talked a ton about today. It's been the Massie show, and now Kabiri gets one past Daly.
Vermont just lost track of the sophomore from McLean, Virginia, who gets on the scoreboard, his first of the contest, and the Tigers at 8-1 have their largest lead of the afternoon.
Kabiri has got such a diverse skill set with what he can do from X. This time just takes what the defense gives him, which is a ton of green grass and little to no pressure. Able to throw a couple stick fakes up there and beat Daly. Princeton goes up 8-1 here in the third.
And Princeton running the championship weekend. Rutgers and then Maryland, one of the better college lacrosse teams in recent memory. Won it all that year, went undefeated, knocked the Tigers out. Vermont was also in that NCAA tournament, their second of back-to-back Ivy tournament or NCAA tournament appearances, the first 2 in program history.
Final Four. That was the longest, probably semifinal Saturday in NCAA history, with a multi-hour lightning delay in game one, pushing the Princeton game to darkness.
Not sure I've ever seen a team get to the stadium, have to leave and come back. Vermont gets their second goal of the contest. Comes topside, and that's Sam Bowen, who we didn't see a lot of in the first half, but he makes it 8-2.
What a shot by Bowen, low to high to beat Croddick. We'll take another look. Low angle, no problem for 55 to cash one in. Nice little celebration. How could you not? After picking a corner, 15 clearing the ball. Looking at some of the other key statistics, Vermont has won 8 faceoffs to Princeton's 5, but again, just unable to cash them in for goals.
Through Tucker Wade at the top of the box. Top midfield line out for the Tigers with 3.5 minutes to go here in the third. Massie working on a 4-goal day. He had a first quarter hat trick. Spacing not great for the Tigers, so they'll work it through Kabiri. Now Burns at X wraps it around and somehow sneaks it in, almost identical to what the Tigers tried on their last possession. Burns has his second of the day, and it's 9-2 Princeton.
Daly, the Catamount goaltender, has been so good on the low-angle shots today, but not that time. Colin Burns, his body certainly is not above goal line extended. I think the head of his stick may have been the only thing above goal line extended, but he sneaks it past the talented goaltender, 5-hole. And Princeton gets its 9th goal of the day. So not as quick of a restart as the Catamounts would have hoped, which makes the clear a little bit harder. Can Princeton double here?
Mason Bardwell, the sophomore with the pole, now near side, and they step across. Luke Ryder, sophomore midfielder. 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores in the starting lineup today for Coach Chris Fipes and the Catamounts. First goal came by Paris about 23 minutes into the contest. The second goal of the day came by Bowen. 9-2 Princeton on top, trying to run circles behind the cage. Here's Davis, the D3 transfer. Gets it over to Cullen Decker, and a pretty goal by the Catamounts. Second goal by Vermont late in the third quarter, and they're trying to mount a comeback.
Cullen Decker back home in the state of New Jersey, the Chatham High School product. Gets topside with the left hand.
5-second difference between the shot and the game clock. Princeton with Palumbo behind the back pass. Couldn't connect with Kabiri, but Wade there to scoop it up.
That'll be maybe Palumbo's 3rd time throwing it behind the back today. Not afraid to do so clearly. Here's Massie. It's been quiet after that really, really strong start.
Burns up top. Palumbo draws the slide. Now Wade.
Great defense. Shot clock under 10.
Tigers have to go. There's a shot and a tough angle and another Princeton goal, and that's Burns again.
Now the last one, low angle, but really close to the cage, right on the doorstep of the crease, goal line extended. This one a couple yards wide, the radius a little wider, the result the same. A great job by Burns. It almost looks mathematically impossible to score from there.
Colin Bullock couldn't have been in a better. Vermont 0 for 2 so far on the man up, cycling the ball with some urgency here in the fourth quarter. There's Paris, who got the Catamounts on the board, draws the crossbar, kicks all the way back out to Davis. Fresh 60 with 30 seconds left on the man up. Davis working it down low. Through Cullen Decker. Davis fought off by Mulshine.
Again, got to move the ball quickly. You got to get a shot off. 5 seconds left on a 60-second penalty.
They get the shot they want, and as the penalty's about to expire, finally a man-up goal. And finally, the sophomore Max Frattaroli checks into the scoring column for the Catamounts.
The heartbeat of the team, according to head coach Chris Fipes, gets on the board. 18 Natural lefty from Canada gets one past Croddick here in the fourth quarter, low to low. Beautiful execution late.
The backup, he'll sprint off to the sideline. Vermont trailed by as many as 8. They're down by 6 after the man-up tally.
And again, for Vermont, can't be selective here. There's got to be volume with the shooting opportunities. Take anything above goal line extended with hands free and a good percentage. Got to let it fly.
Harrison Josloff, first time we've seen him from Short Hills, New Jersey, and that'll reset the shot clock. Another crossbar drawn by the Catamounts on the putback. What a return fire by Goldstein. Right place, right time, and Vermont within 5 late.
Great job by Goldstein finding that top right corner. Some life from the Catamount crowd, who traveled well here to Princeton today. A couple of New Jersey players on the roster. Some of the trips not as far as the team made from Burlington. I thought that first one might have rattled the cage first, but Goldstein follows it up and makes sure that one gets in.